Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Always Believer podcast. I'm your host, Tatiana Redondo, and we're back for season 3. I'm so flipping excited. You can hear my voice, not only because the person I have in front of me, because we finally got interviews back. It's good to be back. We've had a few episodes already of one-to-ones, which that's like a whole new vibe this season. That I'm super excited about as well, to dive down with you for like 20 minutes, 30-minute chats, like heart to hearts, even more so. But yeah, we're back interviewing our Go to Fly movement, Team Flyer. I am beyond grateful, beyond over the moon, vibing high with this gorgeous soul of a woman I have in front of me. Like, I'm just gonna start introducing her first, and then I'm just gonna like drool, basically, because I love her energy so much. So first of all, hi, we have Shalya Kummer. Hi.
Hello, thanks so much for having me.
How are you today?
Doing amazing. It's been a beautiful day. I will say, with the sun and the moon conjunct today and our new moon energy and all these crazy solar flares, I did feel like this woof, like what is that? Like body activation. So processing, the integration of higher vibrational energies, but grateful to be alive and super excited.
I completely agree. I love it. I'm an Aries. My birthday is in April, so it's like twice as much. And it's been a lot of healing and a lot of like, I keep saying fire energy, and I'm like, Adiana, you're fire all year long. What are you talking about? It's like even more so. Before I continue, because I'm a person and I forgot some certain things, we've moved. Like, for those who follow me on social media, moved back home to Barcelona, and we're in a temporary place that there's still a lot of noise. So in the background, there could be some traffic because it's the first floor. There could be some roommates, there could be the banks. So excuse us, but you know how we are. You're still here, you're still listening. We have hundreds and thousands of listens, which I am just more grateful and more amazed every single day. So bear with us if there's background noise, and meanwhile, we'll continue. So Shayla, my darling, tell us a little bit about yourself. What you do, what's happening with you, who are you?
So I am a professional metaphysical practitioner, a spiritual coach, a quantum energy healer, and new earth visionary. All in all, I love to live life. And the desire to really experience depth and to understand the reason that I was on the planet really like triggered me to be where I am today. Which, I mean, I work with clients one-on-one. I am a business owner at 24, and I really just feel like I'm living the life that my inner child dreamt of. So it's magic. It's not always easy, and it comes with its own obstacles. But I was born and raised in North Platte, Nebraska. So I lived a very conservative, constrained childhood.
I was gonna say, that's quite a twist there.
Yeah. I'm a double Leo sun, Leo rising, and my moon is in Sagittarius. So I am a ball of fire with my inner planets in Virgo. So that kind of helps to keep me grounded and stable, which I'm really grateful for. But yeah, my childhood was, when I reflect back, it was very dark and suppressive. And I've always been a dreamer. And so like in my periods of being, here trying to protect myself from the outside world, it was like I just picked up on other energies. I started to sense things and really started to develop ESP and opening up my third eye without even really recognizing what I was doing. But I did know at a really young age that I wanted freedom and I wanted to explore and basically like figure it out. So as soon as I could start reading, I was like trying to read my dad's college textbooks and like teach myself Beethoven on the piano. Like I've always been an extreme person. And I think that relates to other lifetimes that I've experienced. And, I've just done work before. So this lifetime, it was like, let's do it, mission mode. But there was this huge obstacle, the trauma and the karma of my family lineage. And so the first half of my life was really, really difficult. And I always believed in magic. But my mom wouldn't let me, nothing magic. That's a Raven, no. Harry Potter, no way. So what I did was my rebellious spirit, I checked out a Harry Potter book, didn't tell my mom, and I would literally read in my closet, like,
like literally Harry Potter, basically.
Like literally, yeah.
literally.
Yeah. Yeah, so I guess I've just always been on this quest for knowledge, and just like understanding consciously, but also like being able to integrate that into my everyday life and to live a life that's aligned with my spiritual values. And honestly, if I wouldn't have experienced so much suppression early on in life, I don't think my boom would have been as big, because yeah, it was just like everybody in my family told me I was crazy. I have great relationships with everybody. There's been a lot of healing over the years, but it was like life told me not to pursue what I felt like I needed to pursue. The tarot was the devil's work to my family, and yoga was dangerous, and the Bible says otherwise. So it was like, am I going to listen to what the world is telling me, or am I going to listen to my inner voice? And every time it was like, I have to listen to my inner voice. I have to follow my heart. There's just no other way, because I recognized when I didn't, and I like when I would swallow my passion or my desires, it would hurt me inside. And as a triple fire sign, like anger, I resort to anger. I can get really mad if I don't express in a healthful way. So that was a big part of my journey, is just learning how to process the emotions that I had swallowed and suppressed, being amidst unconscious individuals. There's nothing wrong with my parents. They just weren't as aware and didn't really know how to cater to my spiritual gifts. So that's another thing I'll note, is that my connection to this spiritual realm, it's just always been there. As little as I remember, angels would come to me, and I could discern energies, and just had really vivid, like wild dreams and out-of-body experiences. My first out-of-body experience happened, I think, at age 8, where I was in a dream, and then I literally just floated out of my body. And, I didn't know what was going on, and I didn't have anybody to talk to about it, but I did really like to write. So my journal, like 9-10 years old, again, when I'm really just like learning how to write, I realized that this was my greatest outlet, and that it was a way for me to kind of process what I was experiencing early on in life. So then at age 15, my writing practice turned into affirmations, and I didn't know what affirmations were, but I realized that what I was writing was playing a significant role in how I was experiencing reality. So I was definitely a loner as a child, and I loved creativity. I loved art. I loved music, but that was something that I completely suppressed. It was just like, no, I'm scared, like the world, they're not going to understand. It's safer inside. When I went to college, I'll go back a little bit and add something. At age 15, I was introduced to plant medicine. And
wow.
That was kind of just like the affirmation, or the confirmation, that's the word, that there is more going on. And I was just blown away. And I remember journaling for days and days, and I was just full of inspiration. And I decided that I was going to leave Nebraska as soon as I could, and just like start exploring. And yeah, that was really like the first conscious recollection of the fact that I was a spiritual being, and I was on this spiritual journey. And I was destined to do more. That was always the feeling. Like I couldn't get a normal job. It just like didn't work. It never stuck. And spirit always like led me to something else. So I went to college at Naropa University in Boulder, Colorado. It is the only Buddhist inspired college in North America. So that was my introduction then to yoga, meditation, Tai Chi, energy work. And I was so overwhelmed at all of the different modalities. And I was so overwhelmed at the spiritual community. I'm like, what? There are people who have been doing this for years. I'm coming from a conservative Christian household where I was like told that this world doesn't even exist. When I was also in college, I recognized that not everybody had the same childhood that I had. Not everybody had all this pain and this darkness. Most of my friends had great relationships with their parents, and I was like, that's interesting. So that's how it's supposed to be.
That's what healthy looks like. Oh, okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it was pretty traumatic, to be honest, to kind of like see finally, like after 18 years of like living a certain way, then that blindfold's taken off. I was like, ooh, this is going to take some time to integrate. And so I wanted to know who I was. And I was also aware of the cycles that had played out in my family, the suppression, and like the women in my family not actually chasing their dreams or like going after what their heart is telling them to do. And I wanted to end that. So I started praying and I was like, God, please, Spirit, help me. I need answers. And one of my roommates at the time was like, have you ever gotten a tarot reading? And I was like, what's a tarot reading? Yeah. I was so skeptical. I was like, there's no way that this could work. But I agreed anyways. And the man that read my cards for the first time, he looked like a wizard, like straight out of a movie, with long white beard and just like super excited to be alive. And the first thing he said to me was, Shayla, Shah. And he had this huge revelation. He's like, shaman, you're a shaman.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what that meant.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. Like when I read your name, I was like, shaman.
Wow, that's interesting. Yeah.
The first time I read your name, because it's like not different than the one you have on TikTok, for example. But when I read the whole thing, like even the other day, I was just telling my husband about it. I'm like, oh, I'm going to be like shaman. And I'm like, wait, no, that's not the name, Shayla. And it came through. So it's a double decker for you.
It is, right? It's like Spirit is really highlighting, I think, the work that I have done in a past life. I believe that I've done this before, and it's kind of like I'm picking up where I left off previously. But my awakening into that was rough and crazy. But at this point in time, when I was getting the tarot reading, I wanted to know if there was more. Like I was contemplating leaving school at this time, like quitting my job and just like doing something crazy spontaneous. Because that's what I felt called to do. I couldn't describe the feeling, but it was like I'm being called elsewhere. So I didn't give him any information, but the first card that he pulled was the Magician. And again, he was just like so bubbly and so happy and was like, you have all the power, it's in your hands. I was like, what? Okay, he's actually telling me this. And then the next card he pulled was the World card. And that was just confirmation. Those are the only two cards I remember. But I was like, all right, I can do this. I'm going to do it. And I made up my mind. And then so he asked, he's like, so like, what's going on? You want to like, consciously talk about things now? And I told him that I was thinking about leaving school and how I wasn't happy. And he was actually like, well, you're going to a great college. Maybe you should just stick it out. Like, just go for a little vacation in the mountains, then come back. You'll be fine. But in my mind, I was like, no, I've already made up my mind. I'm leaving school. That was the confirmation. So after that, my curiosity was obviously very high. Like, how does this work? How does this work? And why did my family tell me that this was the devil's working when this was actually something that like triggered this grand awakening for me in my life? Yeah, so I had a lot of questions, but I was invited to move to Taos, New Mexico, and to live off-grid. In a trailer with no running water in a community where like self-sustaining community. And that's what I wanted. I was like, I need to learn how to live differently than like the way that we're living and learning. I wanted that firsthand experience. Little did I know that decision to leave school, it was the best decision I ever made in my life, but it also triggered a cascade of karmic experiences. And I had also asked for that, like, Spirit, just show me my karma, like, let me work through it so I can fully be of service, because I know I'm here for a reason. And I got into a relationship with a man that was maybe double my age. I was 18. He was like 34, 35. He was in the military for 11 years, major trauma. And I didn't know what a narcissist was. I didn't know that people could be so intentionally cruel and manipulative. And it just got sucked right on in. And so, yeah, 18, 19, those were dark, very, very dark years where it was just, I call them my years where I was dancing with death consistently every single day.
You can tell you're a writer, because that's actually very beautiful.
I am
going to start calling that to my years. Dancing with death, or dancing with the devil. Literally.
Yeah, yeah.
It's doing that shadow work. And well, you do the shadow work afterwards, but still, not to interrupt you, but I'm gonna basically,
Yes,
because
please.
you just threw so much information. And the first thing I gotta say, we have a whole lot in common. So for Team Flyer, our listeners, I have followed you through TikTok, and we'll get to your TikTok really soon, and talk all about what you do and whatnot through that community as well. And I fell in love with your energy. And it's one of those things that I've like people who know me, I'm very spiritual. I go with energy, I go with vibes. You know, you vibrate higher. It's one of those things. And even through a screen, if someone is speaking to you and you know they're speaking to you, that's how I felt with you. And I've always told you that. And I'm very excited. So it's the first time we meet and during this interview, which usually happens. And as I was listening to you, I'm like, I understand you. That childhood, that teenagehood. Not that I've had fully conservative parents, only one half was conservative, but the whole fact of belittling or you're not enough or all those negative connotations aside from like the physical and the verbal abuse that also came with that. Um, the fact that you always knew that there was something better out there, something different out there, something, you know, against the norm out there. I completely understood, like completely and utterly understand you. And what I love about your journey, well, I love everything to be honest, including that you started at that young age, that at 15 you were introduced to plant medicine, that you were writing affirmations without really knowing what they are. And then also what you said about angels, like when I was a little kid, I was always seeing like these fairy lights. And that's one
Mhm.
of my biggest like nicknames since I was a kid as well. And they're still very much present with me. They're still very much, I still see them in many moments of my life. And that's also kind of how I knew there's like those guiding lights basically. So it all, you know, interconnects. Who introduced you? How did you find plant medicine? Because a lot of people like I feel like it comes much after in life, even with me. It was like in glances, it's like here, have a little bit, but then I kept doing something of what like my ego wanted me to do, you know what I mean? And like stick to that norm. Because much like you were saying with work, I could never hold a quote unquote 9 to 5 job. I could if I wanted to and if I needed to because life, but it was like, no, I don't want to do this.
Mhm.
Like it doesn't make me happy. I'm not in love with it. I want to do my thing, you know?
Yes.
So when I was thinking about plant medicine, little by little, it came at glances or things like that. But with you at 15, how did you get that?
It was quite a journey. Well, okay, so in simple answers, my best friend at the time had I think that she had friends in Boulder, Colorado, and somebody was like, "Hey, you should try this. Like, here's the spiritual benefits." And then she introduced me. So North Platte, Nebraska is 4 hours away from Denver, so just directly west. So you have Colorado booming. Like we're breaking down the barriers of what the old world is, and then Nebraska is still stuck in the old world. So there was like this crazy dichotomy there growing up. But I was just like, there's a whole different world just right there. I can do it. But yeah, so she introduced me to plant medicine. But prior, so I'll also add this. My parents had us, my sisters and I, in Catholic school. So I was in Catholic school until age 14, and then I rebelled and I said, "Mom, I can't do this anymore." That was like pure torture, and that was its own trauma. Like we couldn't have water in class. There were no windows in the school. We had to wear uniforms. Like very no creativity, stay in the box. So when I convinced my mom to let me switch schools, that was really one of the moments where I was like, "Whoa, I think I actually hold power. I think I can actually like change the trajectory of my life if I just like speak up." Because in my mind, it was like, nope, this is the school I'm in. This is how it is. But when she said yes, I was like, okay, there's something here. So when I switched schools, now I'm
Did
in
you
a
go to
whole,
public school or did you?
yes,
Wow.
I went to public school after.
Whoa. And wow.
Yeah.
That's like me changing continents because I changed continents from Venezuela, States, and Spain when I was like 9 years old the first time. And then
Mm-hmm.
again as a teenager, like 14 years old, which is huge on its own because it's culture, it's everything. So this, I kind of feel it's not the same, but it's kind of like in that essence of like
there are definitely similarities.
Completely different vibes from all Catholic, no windows to public school.
Yeah. And yeah, I was like, what? I can like wear my own clothes, I can dress myself, I can style. And I was so scared. I was so scared, like so nervous. Like now I'm the new girl. But I was like, I'm just gonna swallow this fear and I'm gonna use this as an opportunity to recreate my life. And so honestly, I looked around at people and it was like I was testing my manifestation skills because I'd be like, okay, I want to be friends with that person and that person and that person. And then I just kind of let it happen. And then I realized that those people wanted to be my friends. And I was like, what is going on?
And like I said, I love that you found out that about yourself so young. And so like you were able to do it so swiftly, even if you had dancing with the what's called it, not the devil, dancing with death years after.
Yeah. Well, okay, so at 15, then I kind of rebelled. The plant medicine got me on track. But I've been always been mature for my age and never resonated with people my age group. So I was a sophomore in high school, and naturally all my friends were juniors and seniors or people in college. And so what do people in college do, and juniors and seniors? Well, they drink alcohol and they party and they just live life. And so I kind of like fell into that at a really young age. At 15, I realized that I'd gotten myself to the point where I didn't want to go out and socialize unless I had alcohol in my system at 15 years old. And I mean, my parents got divorced when I was 14 as well. That was like my 2012 catastrophe moment. And so, rather than dealing with the emotions I was feeling, I was like, I'm just going to go exert dominance and try to like, make things happen and have fun and pretend like everything's okay. And
literally that, pretend everything is okay. Been there. I've little later in life, 17, 18 years old, I'm like, oh, it's fine. It's fine. It's not.
yeah,
But yeah,
no,
continue. Yeah.
yeah. So I think that lasted like a year. And then I've always been pretty petite, but I noticed I started to gain weight and I was eating a lot of unhealthy food. And I was just like, oh, what's going on? Like something that was so natural to me, health, had just kind of like dissipated. And I was like, I have to get back on track. And marijuana or ganja was always like the devil's weed as well. And I thought it was really bad and I was really scared of it. But one of my friends was like, just try it. It's like, it actually does stuff to your brain. Like it's actually kind of good for you. And so I tried it, and that opened me up again to another realm. It kind of like helped me get out of alcohol and get deeper into my creativity. And then from there, my friend was like, hey, I have something that I think that you might like. And her name is Haley Sunstrom. She was so critical in my awakening. She told me about GMOs for the first time. She was a year older than me, so I kind of saw her as like a mentor, and she loved to do research and was like a hippie in North Platte. And I'm like, what? Like, you're so cool. Like, I want to be like you. So yeah, she literally like an earth angel, because that moment it definitely changed everything for me, and I started doing my own research and trying to figure out what this other side was, what this other realm was. So yeah, that's how plant medicine came into my sphere.
It's very interesting, that path, as well as like one thing leads to another. And even among the chaos that you are a teenager and you have alcohol and partying and friends and things like that, you even took your moment to step aside to be like, yo, this isn't what I want in my life. Like, let's figure something out. And once again, I definitely not only agree, but what's the word I'm looking for? I have that similarity with you, that I've always been very mature for my age, so to speak, since I was a very young age. That's what they always told me. And I remember there was one time that, like, many years ago, it's like, oh, you always took it as a compliment, and then when you start working through like your shadow self, you're like, that was the best compliment, because I should have been quote unquote a regular 14-year-old instead of having to deal with XYZ. Nonetheless, after doing that shadow work, and after going through that and like, healing, I'm like, okay, I'm happy that, it went that way, because that's who I am today. And that's where I am, not only physically, like in one of my favorite cities in the world, and like I've made my way back home and things like that, but also like spiritually and like how everything lines up. And it's a lot to do with what you were saying, because you had to go through the alcohol a little bit like the little turnaround to do plant medicine to then, you know, get there and like stand up for yourself a lot more.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I've over the years I've changed my perspective over desire. And I've read a lot of different spiritual texts. There's a lot of controversy about desire, but what I've come to resonate with is that desire is a good thing, and it leads to the next. And there's a reason that we desire something. That desire, if we fulfill it, it will lead to the next. But the issue is when we get in the habit of doing something,
always wanting more.
And always wanting more. Yes. And then losing that like magic, that spark. Because when we feel desire, there's a spark, like, ooh, I want to follow that. But if it becomes habitual, the spark no longer is there. Yeah. So I don't know, maybe it's like the overwhelming fire in my chart where I've just really been able to tune into my own inner fire and notice when it's lit and when it's not lit.
I agree. I'm a double fire sign. I'm Aries. I'm Aries, Scorpio.
Oh, wow.
So there is a lot of fire in me without a doubt. So I also agree with you there. We line up very, very well. I'm like, when we know what is like lighting us up and what really isn't.
Yes, absolutely.
And all the moments of rage and love and dance in between that. Goodness gracious. Without a doubt. I just have like a bunch of more questions for you in the sense of I'm going to try to interconnect them with what you were saying, because you left us in a mini cliffhanger. We're going to go now back to the story of dancing with death. How did you deal with that? How did you overcome that, you know?
Yeah. So I say that my yoga practice really saved my life. And I don't believe I would be here if I didn't have the understanding of the breath and how we can move trauma through our body or move our emotions and like change our state of being through conscious intent. So at 18, I didn't know what boundaries were. I didn't know that I could set them. I didn't know I could speak my truth. I was kind of functioning from the mentality of life is happening to me. I was totally 100%. I had fallen under victim mentality. Like this horrible man is in my life. Yeah. And he's doing all these horrible things to me. Like, oh, poor me. I must deserve this. And so there was like a part of me that believed that what I was experiencing, it was a reflection of who I was. So I think a lot of it, there was a lot of shame and a lot of guilt that I had to process. And honestly, it wasn't pretty. I forgot how to smile, and I was just like severely depressed and used to being abused physically, sexually, emotionally, mentally, all the things, all the time, from every angle. But my connection to spirit never left me. My connection to my inner self never left me. It was quieted and it was really hard to hear at times, but it was always there. And taking time, like I didn't have this space. Like I couldn't be like, hey, abuser, can I just like sit here and meditate for a second, like bring my energy back? I had to do that without him knowing. So it was like this, it almost like turned into a game where I was like, how can I heal myself, and how can I come back into a place of peace without him knowing that I'm doing this inner work? So basically it's like I had to outsmart my abuser. My yoga practice, again, was always my go-to. And we would actually practice yoga together, and it was really confusing for me because he had introduced me to spirituality and just like, a whole different thing. So in my mind, I'm like associating him with this new reality, but then also there's the association of the pain and hurt.
I had a light bulb moment.
Yes.
The person who also introduced me to spirituality is also very narcissistic and very negative. So it kind of just like, I did a 360 in my head. I'm like, wait a second. And it's crazy. I feel like I just had like a mini breakthrough, like on air. I'm like, wait a second, hold on. Because even though how do I say this? Like, I wanted to think the best of like, oh, this person loves spirituality. It's like, oh, this person meditates or like reads these things or like does these mantras. Like, it's no big deal. It's no big deal. It's no big deal. And then you're like, wait, like, you know what I mean? So yes, to what you were saying, how do I
Yeah.
heal myself and how do I break out of this system without the person knowing? Not that I was there physically with this person anymore at that moment. However, we have a very deep connection as it is a family member. So that's like a big thing, a huge thing in healing through that. So continue after my breakthrough of my bing, basically.
So I wrote throughout that time, not a lot, but the times that I did write, that 2-year period, it was really profound because I was trying to understand. I guess I got to the point where I realized that like he was projecting the trauma that he had experienced in his life onto me. And then I had this trauma of a 36-year-old who had 11 years in the military experience, and his mom did drugs and drank alcohol when she was pregnant with him. So his brain chemistry was messed up from the beginning. I guess the healer in me was like, I want to see this man heal. I want to understand what's going on, and I want to see him thrive and living his best life.
Because he deserves to. Yeah, exactly.
And so I fell under, I was like, oh, I'm being altruistic. Like I'm sacrificing myself so I can heal this man. And I found a deep love and a deep desire to be of service and to, really embody my healing gifts. And he had also awakened that in me, or just kind of like showed me that like, wow, you have gifts. But rather than saying you have gifts that you should share with the world, he's like, you have gifts that you need to share with me and me only. And so that was just kind of the paradigm that I was in, that I'm here to serve this man. And I had one instance in particular, a woman who I'm still very good friends with, she sat me down and she was like, Shayla, what's going on here? You know what this looks like? This looks like narcissistic abuse. Are you okay? And I just started bawling and I couldn't hold it back. And I was like, somebody's telling me now what I felt, but I was denying. So that whole 2 years I was living in delusion, and I didn't know what was true and what wasn't, because, like after you're physically abused, and that boundary is crossed, it becomes normal when somebody's choking you or, banging you on the ground. And so, yeah, I started to disassociate, but it was my yoga practice that would kind of like bring me back, and also gave me the inner strength to then want to discover more. Like, okay, wait, who am I? Do I actually have power in this situation? And what is going on with his brain? So the last like 6 months of the relationship, I was literally doing psychoanalysis on him. And I was like, okay, so when he was 14, he went to a juvenile justice boot camp program and they beat him up. And he beat me up that same way the first time he physically attacked me. And then I just kind of like pieced all the puzzles together, and I was like, whoa, oh my gosh, this is crazy. This can't go on. That's what I thought. I was like, God, you got to help me get out of this, because this can't go on, because there are so many other women who are suffering from this kind of abuse, both masculine and feminine, but specifically women. I just felt that like this desire to liberate myself to then be in a role to help liberate others. The kicker was listening to a tarot reading for the first time on YouTube. I didn't even know this was a thing in 2019 for Leo. And the woman was like, I know that you think that this is your soulmate and you're supposed to be with him, but like, honey, I'm sorry. Like, it's toxic. There's all this stuff going on. And I was just like, what the heck again? Okay, I need to listen. I need to get out basically. And so after that reading, that was my confirmation. And I was like, all right, I'm going to get myself out. The reason I say I dance with death was I'd say like the worst of that experience was an actual drug overdose, cocaine. I have never been a heavy drug user, period. Like I did it a few times in college because that's what all my friends were doing. But my abuser had convinced me, and I said yes. He said, you want to do it? I said yes. I could have said no, but I said yes. And we did this all night all night long. And I had just went raw vegan, like I was really clean, really pure diet, not putting anything toxic in my body. And when the sun started to come up, I realized what I had done. And it was the most excruciating pain I had ever felt in my life. Like literally felt like I was being eaten from the inside out. I couldn't move, I couldn't walk, I couldn't scream, I couldn't talk. It was just paralyzed in pain. And again, I lived off grid at this time. So like, we live in the middle of the desert. There's no water. We have to haul all of our water out. The sun's coming up. It's the middle of summer. I had just like, I'm probably extremely dehydrated and had completely poisoned myself. And so, yeah, my partner at the time, he picked me up, he brought me inside, and he was crying over me because he thought that I was dying, that I was overdosing. And I was losing consciousness at this point. And all I could think about was wanting the pain to stop. And eventually it did. The pain did stop. And I realized that I was in a really beautiful place. And the colors were very different. And the only thing I saw was this huge, giant oak tree. And just like pristine grass, fields of grass. And the next thing I know, there's a Native American looking woman who comes out from behind the tree, and she had really long dark hair, like just beautiful, stunning, pure, unconditional love, like this light being just radiating. And she never spoke with her words, but telepathically, with this huge smile on her face, she was like, do you want to stay or do you want to go? And in that moment, I was like, like, what? No, I gotta go back. Take me back. Like, I'm not done. And it was instant. Then I'm back in my body. And I was dazed, and like, I don't remember, I guess, the next couple of hours after that, because it was,
yeah. I mean,
yeah, it actually took a couple of years to integrate. And the few times I tried to share that experience with people that were really close to me, or that I thought would be able to hold space for that, they rejected it out of fear and were like, no, I can't hear this. You're crazy. Like, it was just a dream. And I was like, no, it wasn't just a dream.
It wasn't a dream.
It wasn't a dream.
Like, up to now, Team Flyer, I know you don't know what I know. Her TikTok, her vibe, her energy, her your essence. I don't know what else to call it. It's such a 360 of the story that you just told. That's why, of course, you're like, of course we connected, and of course I'm holding space for that, and of course my viewers are too, because it's like, it's that kind of power and that kind of knowledge. That's the moment that I knew that I have to turn around and do what I need to do, and that's what you did. So, apart from saying thank you for sharing, without a doubt, I'm trying not to cry. I congratulate you, and I'm so proud of you, and I'm such in awe of the beautiful soul that you are. If I loved you before, I definitely love you now. Definitely, it's one of those vibes, girl. Because when it hits you hard. So, like, so proud. And thank you so much for sharing. Because I know a lot of our listeners, because I've come out with my story about my abuser, also sexually. That's how I have a lot of my audience as well, thankfully, because we're all trying to help each other. But I also have anything else in between as well, just business owners doing their thing. But I think it's a message that we need to spread even more. And even though it's something that, as far as I know, you don't really share on your TikTok, because it's not about that. That's why, like, that's kind of our next subject, the fact that you felt comfortable enough and safe enough to share it here with us, I think that's super important. And like, I feel very honored. And so freaking proud of you. Like, I just want to go hug you. I want to like jump in a plane and go hug you so tightly. Ball, tears, and I'm like, okay, let's do some tarot. Let's do some yoga.
Yeah.
And let's keep going.
Yeah. Thank you. I really appreciate that. And I really appreciate the space that you held. Yeah, like I told you before we got on here, it was a no-brainer. I didn't even have to think about it. It was just a yes, I resonate, let's do it. So thank you for the work that you're doing and providing this space for me to be here and share. I really appreciate it.
I just think it's needed in the time I don't even I'd have no words. Ariana has that. The words have left Ariana basically. In the world we live in, I think we need this. We need community. We need to be there for each other. It's sisterhood. It's not only sisterhood, like I have a lot of men listeners as well, but like it's not a competition. It's unity. And it's
Yes.
it's realness. It's would I love a studio and be recording the studio? Like I always say, yeah, of course. But for now, and if you hear an ambulance, you hear an ambulance. If you hear a dog bark, you hear a dog bark. Like, but I'm here. We're here. We're real.
Yes. Yes.
And so on and so forth. Oh my goodness gracious. Okay. Now I'm reading down to see what the heck do I ask you next. But yeah, definitely probably gonna dive into a little bit of the fun stuff of what you do, which is
Yes.
TikTok, of course.
Yeah.
What do you do on TikTok? How the heck did you get on TikTok? Like doing what you do? And just tell us everything. Just spoil yourself and tell us everything.
So the TikTok thing, like the messages to get on TikTok, they started last year. My grandmother passed away. I was in the Dominican Republic, and my sister, well, I guess I wanted to like move my life to Dominican. And so I tried to do that, and it worked for a month. And then my grandmother died, and I came back to the States and went to her funeral. But during that time, my sister was like, my sisters are 21. They're 3 years younger than me. They're twins. We look like triplets. It's crazy. But she was like,
twins and triplets are following me around for like years. I started like, whenever I do get pregnant, it's going to be twins or triplets. I kid you not. I promise I kid you not. They're literally everywhere for me. And I'm like, signs everywhere. Twos, threes. I don't know. Point being, you look like triplets, but they're twins, they're sisters.
Yes. One of them, Hannah, she told me that she thinks I would be really good on TikTok. She's like, Shayla, you read tarot and stuff like on YouTube, right? And I was like, yeah. And she's like, well, why don't you like think about TikTok? And I was like, okay, maybe. And I had mentioned it to a few people. And again, it was like the world said no. And I listened to that for a second. And I was like, oh yeah, TikTok is just silly entertainment. Like I have other avenues to share my message. But the start of this year, it was just like from every direction, TikTok, you need to get on TikTok. I'm like, what? Are you kidding me, Spirit? Okay, I guess so. So yeah, I'll try. I've been reading tarot for 6 years. That kind of, when I got out of the crazy relationship, I moved to the woods and I lived out of my car, and I would study astrology and practice reading cards. Like that's how I learned. I needed to block out the world to learn my craft. And then when I felt ready in 2019, I went back to Nebraska to launch my YouTube channel because I was like, okay, I'm finally gonna like share what I've learned. And yay. I also wanted to teach and guide and like do my part in making sure that nobody else went through what I went through. Like if I can be that voice and like inspire somebody to believe in themselves and get out of a situation, I'm gonna do that. So yeah, reading tarot online, it started on YouTube, and then I started to gain private clients. People just started coming to me and they wanted to work with me, and I was like, what's going on? Okay. And then last year I officially launched my business, Gamma Evolution LLC. So everything I do is professional. And then I also got my bachelor's degree in metaphysical science last year. So last year was like a big year for groundwork in regards to everything I'm doing. And then, yeah, this year Spirit was like, get on TikTok. I was like, okay, I'm going to start reading tarot just kind of nonchalantly. And I actually heard Gary Vee. Are you familiar with Gary Vee?
Of course I am. I mean,
you know, silly question.
Gary Vee around this house. Yeah, we do.
I had just heard him say like too many times, you need to be posting your TikToks. And I was like, all right, I'm going to be posting my TikToks. And I love making content. I love creating. And that's really how it started, was I was like, I like tarot. I like creating. I'm just gonna like make this fun and like be myself. And when I started YouTube, I still had like a little bit of trepidation around sharing who I really am, like full spectrum, because for me, my spirituality was fragmented from my family life, my earth family life. Like they didn't understand, but I wanted to keep the relationship. So I had gotten in this habit of like separating like this part of me that's aware and conscious and channels and taps in and like loves to inspire from my family life. But with TikTok, I was like, all right, I'm just gonna put it all together and I'm gonna share who I am authentically without fear or without doubt of how I'm gonna be received.
Isn't that crazy that TikTok does that though? Out of all the apps, isn't that like bonkers crazy though? So I've been on TikTok since it was Musical.ly. So years on years on years. And I was using it for fun because I'm very creative and I'm like, oh, this is fun. I used to do it with, they're like little sisters to me, for a long story short. And they were little kids. They were like 8, 9 years old. I was like, hey, let's do Musical.ly. And like, you did the lip sync, you did, a bunch of stuff, right? And then that transformed into what TikTok is today, little by little, of course. And I just started sharing a lot more on TikTok because of my past. Like the past 2 years have been really heavy, like in my heart and mentally and physically and a whole bunch of stuff. But when we moved back home, like I'm gonna start creating more. And it's crazy to think, because I've talked to my girlfriends about this all the time, who are also content creators. I'm like, I can be myself on TikTok. Like, don't get me wrong, Instagram, I'm myself. Like, I have no filter. I can just woke up. Like, I'd rather be that version of me no matter what, and no matter what platform.
Mm-hmm.
But there's something about TikTok that you're just like, this is easy. And it's not easy usually this easy somewhere else. So it's like, what is okay, sure. And it calls to you as a spiritual person, as a creative person, as a content creator. It's like, oh, I want to do more. Okay. And here we go.
Yeah, it's fun. It's something about like just all the elements. Like you can add music, the words, the video. It's just like full spectrum, creating little movies and then blasting them off for the world to see. And yeah, it's I really don't have words. Like it's magical. And it was so inspiring to get on TikTok and to see the spiritual community. Like I've been on TikTok for 2 months, so I'm still like kind of new to the scene. But I was just like,
you blew up then, because I don't know how many followers you have right now, top of my head, but you blew up though.
yeah.
Like, congratulations. I mean, that's awesome. Like manifesting, like, and like your whole vibe and energy, which I totally love. But it's insane. I love, you mentioned it twice, way back when at the beginning of our interview, that you've never seen or been with spiritual people till like, because you were, conservative household and all that stuff, right? I agree with you, because I haven't had a spiritual community since recently, but like recently, like 2 years tops recently, with one of my closest friends, Shika. That super shout out. She's been on our podcast twice, season 1, way back when. And it's insane that when you find that kind of connection, even if it's online, you're like, we exist. I knew I existed to some extent, because like I said, the person who brought me into this world, like I've hung out with other people like that, but they were not my age at all, kind of very similar, so to speak. Now that I think about it again out loud, there you go. Are we connected? Probably at this point, right? Probably. There has to be something there. But that's the thing. It's like, even from the past, I'd lost my thought, because I was thinking you meet past lives. No, I wasn't thinking about that. They were much older than me, so I didn't really fully connect until now. I've had people kind of my age, a little bit younger, a little bit older, but still. And I'm like, oh, this is like lots of fun. Like, this is actually like, and then that's how I can be more myself, because I do mix a lot of my spirituality. I do love like reading tarot. To have it right next to me when I'm like recording, and in general. I do mix it up. Like, I do put some posts a lot, like the Always Believer, about like the new moons or like little things like that. I'm like, I'm still gonna like put sparks out, because it's just, that's part of who I am. And
Yes.
saying what you were saying, it's like a full version of me. Like,
Yes.
this is high, which is weird because also I'm a very private person, but at the same time, you're like, I still want to show up as myself because why would I be someone else, you know?
Exactly. Yes. Yes. Absolutely.
Like,
I
that's how I
myself,
feel with your TikToks.
yeah. Wow. Yeah, I'm just like, it feels like I quantum jumped into a completely different timeline, because so much change has happened these past 2 months.
2 months.
Yeah.
Both and a whole bunch of us. Like, I swear, this quantum leap. Oh my God, I feel like I'm gonna be like fangirling, sorry, like I guess after the interview, because there's so much stuff you say. And you said, oh my God, why does his name not to come out? But Atlantis. You spoke about that. You spoke about like a lot of deep-ish, and I'm like, yes, 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 yes. Oh my God, someone's actually saying this. Yes. Can I be best friends? Yes. Can we talk about this for hours on? I want to know more. So yes, a lot has changed in the last 2 months. A lot has shifted, and we did quantum leap
Yes.
because it's all the feels and then some.
Yes. As a collective, it feels like for the first time, I mean, in my life, that like I didn't do it alone. Yeah, like I haven't had spiritual people in my life really. And seeing, I think we're at like 43,000 followers, 43,000 people who care about what the cards have to say and their personal growth and development and being the best version that they could be and breaking the ancestral lineage ties and the karmic bonds. I've just been like,
you I I agree 110 million percent and then some. Like, oh my God. And then you said it again. You said it at the beginning and you said it again. The breaking essential like lineage and breaking generational trauma, like that's been me all over. And there was that moment that you just felt it, that once you broke it, like everyone was just like all your ancestors were like super happy and super proud of you. You're like, you did it. You were the one. Like like it's been really effing hard, but like you did it. you know? So it's
yeah,
so beautiful to see because also like I definitely like hear your not hear the comments, but read your comments, because I also want to comment too. And I read some of them and I'm like, there's so many of us. And I follow other people like you, of course, and like us because we're part of the same community. And it's so grateful, like, and so exciting to see that. It's like, oh, we're coming together and like forming this new earth. And like no one has no idea what's coming, but something magical is coming and it's here and it's happening and we're doing this together. And I'm gonna cry again out of happiness this time. So yeah.
we're doing it. It's literally happening. It's happening and it's happening fast. The ripple is happening fast. I'm glad that you mentioned Atlantis, because I kind of wanted to share a little bit about that. I guess just like the gratitude and like the awe that there are people who get that and are awakening to that depth of the human experience. I actually just made a TikTok today about my experience in Atlantis. I saw somebody had asked for more detail. So I am going to start going into more depth just about what I remember. And I've remote viewed and actually seen the timeline of Atlantis. So yeah, that was actually really hard for me to share at first. And I think I said it in the video, like my guides really wanted me to share this knowledge about Atlantis, but my conscious mind, my ego was like, but, what if somebody in your family sees this? What are they going to think, And I was like, no, I cannot let that stop me. I need to share this message.
It's you're hitting all the spots and you're like in my brain right now. Because literally the other day I posted a picture, nothing to do with spiritual, but like body positive, because I also gained a lot of weight recently and I'm releasing that weight and I'm, getting healthier. And, it's been a lot of trauma and I know it's like built trauma that I'm like letting go of, but it's been really like a big thing, of course, for me. And I posted a picture of like me wearing it happened to be Victoria's Secret, but and also because we have something in the works with them as well, but in lingerie basically. And I was just like completely myself. And it's one of those things that I thought had the same thought. Like, what if my family sees it? What about if so and so sees it? What about what are the what? And I'm like, you know what? I've been fooling around with this idea so long. Like, I'm just gonna have to do it. Like, I'm just gonna do it because I know this is gonna get me more collaborations that I truly believe in with people and brands, obviously, that I really want to work with. And that's also the purpose of doing what we do, of course, at the end of the day, at least part of it, obviously. And at the same time, like connected that with spiritual world, I had the same message. Like tarot reading. Like a lot of people are like, I don't really know that side of you. Like I know the trauma and I know you're like overcoming stuff and I know like you're a motivational speaker and blah blah blahs. But like what's this? What's happening? What? And I'm like, I'm gonna post it because I do cards every day. I believe in this and I want to do that. So I agree again, like the whole interview, that it is that ego talking. You're like, nope, be quiet. And literally today I was talking over and over again. And I went to a therapist and I'm like, all right, when I get home, and I couldn't do it when I got home, but in general this weekend, make a list of like how to keep setting those boundaries and keep being faithful to myself and trusting my own voice and being more vocal about what I want and doing what I want. Because at the end of the day, it's my life. And that's it. That's literally the end of the story, right?
Yes. And that's the most important thing along the journey is, our own well-being, our happiness, our state of vibrational frequency. That's number one. And when I finally, I guess, grasped that concept, it changed my whole life. It sent people out of my life, like flying out of my life, like crazy tower moments. The slate is being cleared.
And say bye, never again. Thank you.
Yeah. But it was just so liberating to have the freedom to be and to do and to express whatever I wanted, to listen to my desires, to listen to my heart. And that's a big reason that I'm on TikTok, is like, that's what I want to do, is inspire people to just be themselves. And tarot is really awesome because we can literally pinpoint the energies that are blocking us from being able to express, or, just give us reinforcement or encouragement that we're on the right path. And yeah, tarot has been really influential in my life, those few moments that I shared with you. But then also when I got out of the relationship, I was like, okay, I'm going to figure it out. What's going on with yoga? What's going on with tarot? What's going on in the stars? What are these things? And the more I dove into them, the more I formed an actual relationship with them. In the cards, it was like having 78 best friends, or acquaintances, because they're not all best friends, but acquaintances.
I love the best friends. But they mean well. Like there's
well.
like, you know what I mean? It's like it's a bit of like, it might be a little negative right now coming in your life, but you're gonna heal from this. Like you're gonna overcome this to be better.
Yes,
but that's why you're an acquaintance, not a best friend.
Yeah. Yes, temporary, passing. But yeah, and I think that just I'm so grateful for my upbringing. I'm so grateful that I was just on that verge of this realm and the other realm so many times, because it just showed me the beauty of life and also my power to make changes. Because for a while, there was 2 years of my life where I was like, I'm destined to this fate. This is it. I'm going to suppress my desires. They're not there. But then to counteract that and actually come out and let myself be seen, it's just
that's the fire in there. Yeah. I remember when my early 20s, not the first boy I ever loved, but first stable relationship, and it was pretty healthy, or at least healthy enough comparison to the previous ones in general. And if I would have continued that path, I would have been a housewife. I would have been pregnant with kids, like a very young age. And I would have been probably very miserable. You know what I mean? You're like, nope, this ain't it. So I agree that there's those circumstances that you're like, I'm grateful that you keep going and you keep that fire in you and you keep doing what you love, because it truly, truly shows up for you. It truly helps.
It does. And we are the one part of the entirety of life that we have for the whole time. You know, we're never going to leave ourselves in this life. And I was my own like greatest enemy for a while, right? Like I wasn't living in alignment with what I knew my inner truth to be. And so like self-sabotage and the anger and but the beautiful thing is that there's always the opposite end of the spectrum. Like we go so far down the deep end, we also have the ability to go that much further into the light. And then it becomes a choice. Like, where do we want to be? Do we want to be in the darkness? Do we want to be in the light? Do we need the darkness? Yes, sometimes to go in, process, find our gifts and our talents, but then we get to choose, you know, what we wish our life to look like. And I think that a lot of us have just forgotten. In the old world, we weren't told that we had power to make decisions. We weren't told that we could live how we wanted to live, and that's actually our birthright. And that's a part of my mission. A huge part of my mission is just to remind the collective.
That was literally one of my questions. What's your mission? And here we go. Here we go. Oh my God. I know we're going to have to start wrapping up, at least recording. I'm definitely going to keep talking to you as always. As I always do with my guests. It's like, oh my God, so good. But let's wrap up a little bit. Before we do, we have a question of the day that I always kind of throw out. And it is, what is a mantra that resonates with you?
A mentor that resonates with me.
A mantra. I think I said it in Spanish. My bilingual brain came back. Mantra.
Well, there's a lot of mantras. I use mantras daily, but the one that I've been working with recently, I'd say the one that's been most impactful, specifically with my work, is let me see if I can remember it to its entirety. It is not I, but my higher self in which communicates through me. It is not I, but my higher self in which communicates through me. I think that's the mantra. But this helped me to overcome my fear of public speaking and my fear of just like authentically showing up, because it just serves as a reminder for me that it's not me, it's my higher self. There's a part of me that comes through. Yeah. And we don't have to know all the answers. We don't know all the answers.
We don't. You're right. Sometimes we get a little too in our head. And especially with me, I can definitely guarantee I have zero patience with myself. With others, it's like I have patience with others, but with myself, it's like I wouldn't know. Or like I need to know what's next. And you're like, breathe. The universe has got you. And anything you're doing is for your higher self and through your higher self. And I love that mantra. Yeah. I'm definitely writing it down.
Yes.
Now, for my last 3 questions that I always ask every single one of you, 3 words to describe you.
Ooh. 3 words to describe me. The first word that's coming to mind is love, truth, inspiration. Those are going to be my 3 words.
Very beautiful 3 words, and I can definitely vouch for that. Second question is, what are you grateful for?
Oh my gosh, I am grateful for the fact that I'm here and I'm breathing, and that I have the opportunity to live and to explore what it means to be a human being in relation to the grand scheme of life. I'm grateful for all of the wonderful connections I have and the support and the new friendships and new connections I'm forming. And I'm grateful for the unveiling and the shift that's happening right now, and the emergence of new earth and the awakening amidst the collective of this grand mission that we are all here on.
I'm just like taking it in, basically.
Yeah.
And my last question, and it's one of the most important questions for you, my darling, is where can we find you? What do you do? Refresh our memories once more. I know you're a coach, you read tarot, so please tell audience once more so they know exactly where to find you.
So I am a professional metaphysical practitioner, and my website is www.gamma, Gamma, asana, asana.com. You can go ahead and sign up to my email list. I'm actually in the process of creating a course on how to read tarot to be launched soon. So the email list is the best place to go to stay up to date with everything. And then on TikTok, my name is Lion Essence. And yeah, if you go to my TikTok, you'll find my link tree in my bio, and you can find me on all other social media, my email, and all the good stuff.
Perfect. Well, definitely I always link everybody. I link all my guests, of course. So like on my Instagram post, on the podcast in general, we'll make sure that they know exactly where to find you, but it's always a pleasure, of course. Please follow her. like if anything that she said resonated with you, even if it's for like, I don't know, 30 seconds out of like an hour conversation that we've been here, follow her, please, because it's like you are such a wonderful human being, and your vibe and your essence really shows. And I'm excited for you, what's to come. I'm so excited for this new adventure, this new journey, this new chapter, this new portal that just opened for all of us. But I'm excited to see what's in your cards. Literally, I'm excited to have a card reading with you as well. I mean, I have like the ones on TikTok, and like I resonate like a whole lot. Like you make me cry, like that's how much like it resonates. I'm like, oh my god. I'm like, and with you I'm like, do I tell this or not, like on air? I guess so, because that's just who I am. But a lot of times when I'm meditating, one of my favorite things about TikTok, and I swear it's not a TikTok ad, it's just like it's a really cool app. That the For You page has a lot of, like, it's personalized, obviously. So for me, apart from having cute cats, like, as I always say, it's like tarot, it's spiritual, it's mantras, it's gentle parenting, it's healing, some dances here and there, some cute kittens here and there, you know what I mean? But overall, it's that, and my Latina bilingual self as well. Of course, I always give a shout out. But point being, with you, there's a lot of times that I'm like, when I'm about to meditate or about to fall asleep, and I check in on you, or you not even me checking on you directly on your page, sometimes you just happen to pop up right there, and you're like the last thing and the last like feeling that I like, it flows through me, and then I meditate and I'm like, okay. And I find that so utterly magical that I'm just really grateful that you exist in this world. So yeah, basically that.
Oh my god. Thank you. I'm speechless, just like beaming. Thank you so much for sharing that. And yeah, just for holding this space, and for all of us, for being here and shining your light, and really being such a strong connector and uniting force for us all. I appreciate you so much.
That's what we do. And as far as what we do, Team Flyer, I definitely have to wrap it up once and for all, finally. And you're like, no, I want more. Well, if you want more, once again, follow her TikTok, please, and go to her website. I'll definitely link everything down below. We have new episodes. It's the new season. We have episodes Mondays and Wednesdays and one-to-ones and all the love, you know where we are, linked down in bio as always. And you can find this episode. I mean, you're listening to it already, but we're also on Spotify, YouTube, iTunes, Libsyn, link in bio. We're everywhere, because why else? And also TikTok, obviously. I'm gonna start working with them, I swear. So, anyways, as I always say, love tight. I mean, oh goodness gracious. Hug tighter, love stronger, always believe. Thank you very much. Talk to y'all soon. Bye.